I warned my wife about the risks of cheating, but she chose to ignore me. I thought she would understand the gravity of the situation, but all I got were laughs and mockery over her infidelity. Her cheating not only broke my trust, but also brought consequences that would change her life forever. Now looking back, I realized that everything I said came true. What she didn't realize was that the truth always comes out, and the price paid for disregarding that is very high. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. There I was, at an important Chamber of Commerce event, about to receive an award, and Rhonda, my wife of 10 years, just whispered in my ear that she was leaving with Gerald, my business partner, for a weekend in Las Vegas immediately after the award ceremony. "Are you out of your mind?" I asked calmly so no one else would hear. "Only out of desire," she whispered back. "Right now, I'm feeling his heart through his pants, and soon I'll be putting that in me." "We need to talk," I said, "but not now. Later, when we get home." "No, Ron," she replied. "I'm telling you how things are going to be. If you want to talk, you can give me some ideas, or maybe remind me of the things you always wanted me to do with you but refused. I'll be home Monday night and we can talk then, if you still feel it's necessary." This was the start of a 3-day weekend, and I knew she didn't need to be back at work until Tuesday. "You planned this with him?" I asked in a low voice. "Of course," she said. "His wife knows too." I looked and saw my future ex-partner and friend sitting next to Rhonda with a sarcastic smirk on his face. I wanted to punch him, but not here, not in front of all those people, the so-called pillars of the community. I looked at Judy, his wife, who was sitting next to him. She didn't look happy at all, obviously knowing everything. My mind was racing, but I focused on the moment. When I heard my name called by the Master of Ceremonies, I stood up, shook his hand, and received the award. I held it for a second while the photographer took a picture. I gave my prepared acceptance speech, and noticing that Rhonda's hand was on Gerald's lap, I made a last-minute change to the speech. In my notes, I had included a thank you to my wife, but I ended the speech early without even mentioning her name. Instead, I thanked the community for their support and the chamber for the award, concluding my speech. I didn't know if anyone would notice the detail, but Rhonda mentioned it as soon as I sat down. "I didn't even deserve to be mentioned?" she asked sarcastically, while I took a sip of my drink, which was already lukewarm. I just looked at her without saying a word. "So that's how it's going to be, huh? Well, like I said, we'll talk Monday night when I get back." Gerald stood up and went to the podium, purposely bumping into me on the way. "If you go through with this, you don't need to come back," I whispered to Rhonda while Gerald spoke. "There will be nothing here when you return." To emphasize the point, I took my wedding ring off my finger and handed it to her. She gave a mocking smile and tossed it into her purse. "You know why I'm doing this, right? Of course you do. It's because of what you did with Judy. Don't lie. I know everything. I have photos. So you're not going to say or do anything? Let me do this, and we'll talk when I get back." "Don't do this, Rhonda," I said. "Nothing happened between Judy and me. It was just dinner and a conversation. We can talk about it after the ceremony." "Too late," she said. "It's happening. The tickets are bought, the reservations are made. I'm giving my body to Gerald this weekend. I'll let him do whatever he wants with me, and there's nothing you can say or do to stop it." "What if I told you he is HIV positive?" I asked. She laughed. "I wouldn't believe it. I know you'd say or do anything to stop me from going," she replied. "Don't say I didn't warn you," I said. "I promise you, if you do this, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Look, enjoy the weekend without me. Go play golf or something. When I get back, everything will be as it was," she said. I couldn't believe the audacity of this woman. "No, Rhonda," I said, "nothing will be as it was." "We'll see," she replied. A few minutes later, Gerald returned and sat down. Rhonda turned to him, and I saw she had put her hand on his lap again. Disgusted, I turned away. Finally, the event ended and we stood up to leave. "This is your last chance, Rhonda," I said. She and Gerald smiled as they looked at me. "We're leaving now, Ron," she said. "Maybe I'll call you or maybe not." "Either way, see you Monday." "No hard feelings, partner," Gerald said. "I promise not to damage her too much for you." "We are finished, Gerald," I said calmly. "As partners and friends, I never want to see you or hear from you again." "We'll see about that, partner," he said as he ushered Rhonda out. I turned and looked at Judy, whose tears were streaming down her face. "Do you need a ride home?" I asked. She shook her head negatively. "I called an Uber," she said, "but thank you for asking." "Did you tell them nothing happened between us? That it was just dinner and a conversation?" "I tried, but they wouldn't listen," she said. "Gerald has photos of us at the restaurant, and Rhonda insists it was a prelude to an affair. You know how she can be sometimes." Yes, I certainly knew. Until now, the only complaint I had about Rhonda was her incredible ability to act based on wrong assumptions, and once she got something into her head, it was almost impossible to make her change her mind. "I understand," I said. "I'm sorry." "Good," she said. "You don't deserve this. I just hope he remembered to bring condoms." "It doesn't matter," I said. "Whether he uses a condom or not is irrelevant. The fact that she's leaving with him is what matters. I'm finished with both of them." "What are you going to do?" she asked. "What I need to do," I said. "And you?" I asked. "I told Gerald that if he went through with this, I would divorce him, and that's exactly what I intend to do. This is not the first time he's cheated on me, but it will certainly be the last." "Good for you," I said. "Let me know if you need anything. I can refer you to a good lawyer if you like." "Thank you, Ron," she said. "I appreciate that." With that, she left, and I followed soon after, heading towards my car. On the way home, I thought about the last 10 years with Rhonda. We got married about 5 years after Gerald and I went into business together. Gerald introduced me to her after we had been in business for about 4 years. At that time, he and Judy had already been married for 3 years. Rhonda and I dated, fell in love, and got married. Gerald was the best man at our wedding, and I never would have believed he was capable of doing something like this. I never thought Rhonda would either. When we got married, the business was already growing significantly, so my lawyer suggested she sign a prenuptial agreement to protect my assets, which included my home and the company. She didn't like it, but signed anyway. I made sure the agreement was fair and included an infidelity clause. I had a lot to do and little time to resolve everything. It was still relatively early when I got home, so I called my lawyer, Jim Simpson, on his cell phone. "Hey, Ron, I thought you and Rhonda would be celebrating your award tonight. What's going on?" He listened as I recounted what had happened earlier that night. "My God, Ron, I'm so sorry to hear that," he said when I finished. "Do you want me to start drafting the papers?" "Yes, Jim. I want a divorce based on adultery according to our prenuptial agreement, and I want you to start dissolving the partnership." When Gerald and I formed the partnership, we included a clause that allowed the partnership to be dissolved if one or both partners engaged in morally unacceptable behavior that could significantly impact the company's operation. I thought this fit perfectly. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "Yes," I said without hesitation. "I want the company reorganized as a sole proprietorship if possible. I know we talked about turning it into a limited liability company before. Maybe now is the time to do that." "All right, I'll get everything started," he decided, "but it's going to take some time." "I know," I said, "but I want the partnership dissolved as quickly as possible, and I want to minimize my losses as much as possible." "Leave it to me, friend," he said. "Thanks," I said, ending the call. I knew that according to the terms of the agreement, I would have to pay Gerald something to get him out of the company, so the less I had to pay, the better. I knew Jim would handle it for me. A few hours later, I received a call from Rhonda. "Just wanted to let you know we're at the hotel in Las Vegas.
I'm so ready for a hot weekend. Rhonda, you need to know before you do this that Gerald is HIV positive. If you go through with this, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Stop this madness and come home now. If you do that, maybe, and I said maybe, we can fix our marriage. Oh, Ron, she said, laughing, you're still on this. Get over it.
It's going to happen. I'm going to let Gerald give me whatever he wants all weekend. Besides, I'm getting wet just thinking about it. Maybe if you're a good boy, I'll let you have some of his when I get back home. Rhonda, I'm warning you, I began to say, but she had already hung up. That was the end. I warned her, but she refused to listen. The rest of my weekend, which was now ruined, was dedicated to removing Rhonda from my life. Following Jim's advice, I went to the bank on Saturday morning and handled things there, paying off her credit card before canceling it. I received 3 voicemails from Rhonda and a few texts throughout the weekend. She was doing her best to irritate me. "Oh yes," she moaned in one of the voicemails. "Gerald's is well buried inside me now, Ron. It's much bigger than yours and much better, just so you know. I've already let him have me several times. I know I never did this for you, but he's so delicious. Maybe I'll let him have me one more time. Gotta go. He's getting ready again. Bye for now." The other voicemails were pretty similar. I forwarded them all to Jim so he would have evidence of Rhonda's infidelity. I also forwarded them to Judy so she could use them in her divorce from Gerald. I called a locksmith and changed all the door locks. I wasn't worried about losing the house since I had bought it before we got married and the mortgage was only in my name. I threw all her clothes and belongings into trash bags and crammed them into her car, leaving just enough space for her to drive. I took the car out of the garage and left it in the driveway. I removed all photos that included Rhonda, smashed the large wedding portrait that hung above the fireplace, and put the broken pieces inside the fireplace to be burned. When I finished, there was no longer any evidence that she had ever lived there. After listening to the voicemails the next morning, I called her mother and said we needed to talk. She invited me for lunch, so I went. After eating a sandwich, she asked me what was going on, so I told her everything, even playing the voicemails Rhonda had left. When I finished, she was inconsolable. "What a stupid girl," she said. "I can't believe she would do this to you. I'm so sorry. Of course she can stay here until she gets back on her feet, but I'm going to give her a good talking to as well." "I'm sorry, Mom," I said. I had always called her Mom, especially since my own mother passed away from a stroke a few years ago. "She'll need all the help and support you can give her." "Of course," she said, "but I'll still put her on timeout." I chuckled and hugged her. "Please keep in touch," she said when the hug ended. I promised I would and left. She was still wiping away tears when I walked out. I went to a tavern that served the juiciest burgers and ate one with a couple of beers. Jim called me on Monday to say the documents were ready, so I went to his office. Everything looked good, so I paid the retainer and left. The documents would be filed with the court the next day, which was Tuesday. "Where do you prefer she be served?" Jim asked. "Preferably at her workplace," I said. "She humiliated me in public, so I think it's only fair to return the favor." "Okay," he said. Before leaving, I received a few more messages from Rhonda that day, the last one saying she was on her way home. I laughed out loud at that. Gerald dropped her off around 5:30 p.m. and immediately drove away. Apparently, he's too cowardly to face me after what he did. I waited to hear her arrive at the porch, trying to use her keys, but none of them worked. Finally, she rang the doorbell. I ignored it for a few minutes and she started banging on the door. "Let me in, damn it!" she yelled. I got up, went to the door, opened it, and stepped outside. She glared at me before trying to step in, but I blocked her. "What are you doing? I live here too." "No, you don't anymore," I said. "You lost that right when you walked out on Friday night." "But I told you I'd be back and we could talk if you still wanted to. And why is my car in the driveway? Why isn't it in the garage, and what is all that stuff inside it?" "It's all your stuff, Rhonda. Like I said, you don't live here anymore." "Look, I know you're upset. We can talk about this." "If you wanted to. I wanted to talk to you Friday, but you weren't interested. Remember? I practically begged you to listen to me, but you refused and insisted on spending the weekend with him." "That's right. Since you slept with Judy, I thought I deserved a little revenge."
And what proof do you have that I slept with Judy? Show me." She pulled out her phone and showed me a picture of Judy and me at a restaurant table. "What is this?" she asked. "It's two people talking over dinner. There's nothing intimate in that photo, and nothing happened between Judy and me. In fact, I haven't been with another woman since you and I got married. So why were you having dinner with her? Ramon, surely you expected something after that." "There you go again, making false assumptions." "What are you talking about?" she asked. "That's what I wanted to talk to you about Friday, but you refused to listen to me. Tell me, did Gerald use protection this weekend?" "Of course not. You know I hate it." "I figured. I imagine you let him finish inside you several times." "That's right. I still have some of him inside me now. I was going to let you clean it out of me, and if you were truly remorseful, I was going to let you have sex with me. But I don't think that's going to happen." "So you were planning to kill me, weren't you?" Her eyes widened. "Of course not," she said. "Where did you get that absurd idea?" "Do you remember a few months ago when he said he wasn't feeling very well? That was a few weeks after he got back from a trip out east." "Yes, I remember," she said. "I suggested he go to the doctor and get checked out. He never told me what the doctor said, but Judy found out he tested positive for HIV. Want to know how she found out? I'll tell you. She found out because he infected her. She recently tested positive. At the time he infected her, he didn't know he had HIV, but this past weekend, he certainly knew when he had sex with you." I handed her a copy of Gerald's test results that Judy gave me the night we had dinner. Rhonda's face turned white and her eyes widened. "You were telling the truth! My God, I'm going to be sick," she said, bending over and vomiting on the front lawn. I watched as she threw up several times. When she finished, she looked at me terrified. "I'm going to die, aren't I?" she asked. "I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. Judy said her doctor told her it's no longer a death sentence like it was years ago, but it's still pretty serious. In any case, I suggest you go see Dr. Barnes first thing in the morning and tell him everything. Ask him to run some tests on you. Maybe if he catches it early enough, he can do something. But I know our marriage is dead." "Where am I going to stay?" she asked, tears streaming down her face. "Your mother said you can stay with her until you get back on your feet." "My mother? You told my mother?" she asked, shocked. "Yes, she deserves the truth, don't you think?" "I guess so." "And you're going to have the divorce papers served on me at work this week?" "Oh, please, no. I don't want a divorce. Can't we work this out?" "No. We probably could have if you had talked to me on Friday instead of leaving me to spend the weekend with him in Vegas. But you wanted to do things your way. Now lie in the bed you made." "So what were you doing with Judy at that restaurant?" "I already told you. We were talking. She had just received her test results and wanted to talk to me. She asked me if I knew Gerald was HIV positive. Of course I told her the truth, that I didn't know. I was trying to figure out a way to help them both get through this, but it seems Gerald decided to follow us. He took those photos of us at the restaurant. Naturally, when you saw the photos, you made your wrong assumptions, as always, and here we are. I hope it was all worth it for you." "Please, can't you give me one more chance?" she pleaded. "I'm dying here." "I've been dying ever since you walked out on Friday night." "But I love you," she cried. "Love? Right now, I don't even like you. Now get out of my yard." I went back inside and slammed the door, locking it. I looked through the window and saw her crying as she knelt on the lawn. She looked completely defeated and distraught, but at that moment I didn't care. Eventually she got up and, still crying, slowly walked to her car. I watched as she backed out of the driveway and drove away, still crying. The next day, I arrived at the office early, hoping to catch Gerald when he arrived. I had already warned security to confiscate his badge as soon as he arrived. I positioned a few security guards near his office. When he arrived, he flashed me a sarcastic smile, but lost it as soon as he saw the security guards. "What's going on?" he asked. "They're here to confiscate your badge and ensure you don't take any company property when you leave." "Leave?"
"I'm not going anywhere." "Wrong answer," I said. "As of today, the partnership is dissolved. You no longer work here." "That's absurd. You can't do that." "Read the contract we signed," I said, tossing a copy of the agreement onto his desk. I highlighted the appropriate clause. "The partnership dissolution will be filed this morning,
and the company is temporarily being reorganized as a sole proprietorship. I'm giving you 15 minutes to pack your things and get off the property before I have you escorted out." "Is this all because I was with your wife this weekend?" he asked. "In part. It's also for deliberately exposing her to HIV, which I'm told is a crime in this state." "What?" he asked. "I saw your test results. Judy showed me. That's what we were discussing that day at the restaurant. She told me you infected her too. I was planning to make you a silent partner so you could keep your health insurance and continue to earn an income. But what you did this weekend was beyond the pale. You knew you were infected, yet you still chose to spend the weekend with Rhonda without informing her. That is illegal in this state. You two planned everything except the fact that she didn't know you are HIV positive. In my opinion, what you did violates the terms of our partnership agreement. I even considered giving you a severance package, but in light of your actions, I've changed my mind. Now get out." "You can't do this," he exclaimed. "I'll fight you, you can bet that. I'll start spreading rumors that you've been sleeping with half the female employees here, threatening their jobs if they didn't do what you wanted." "Seriously?" I asked. "You'll deliberately defame me in the community as revenge? On top of having infected my wife with HIV so she could infect me? I'm sure when I'm done you won't have any business left." I smiled and pulled a tape recorder from my pocket. I pushed a button and played our conversation back to him. "I think that should add a few million to the lawsuit and help ensure a conviction, not to mention the fact that you made that claim in front of at least 2 witnesses, right?" I asked, looking at the 2 security guards, who smiled and nodded affirmatively. I looked at my watch. "You know, I used to think you were my best friend. I also used to think you were quite intelligent. Now I see that my initial assessment of you was wrong. You have 10 minutes to pack your things and get off my property." I looked at the security guards before speaking again. "Keep a close eye on him. Make sure he doesn't touch the computer and only takes what is his." "Yes, sir, Mr. Astons," one of the guards replied. Gerald packed his things while the guards watched. On his way out, he passed my office. "I'm sorry, Ron," he said. "Just leave." After Gerald left, I called a meeting with all the employees. The main office was packed, but I felt they deserved to know that changes were coming. I told them that Gerald was no longer part of the firm and that the partnership had been dissolved. I assured them that this change wouldn't affect their jobs long term, but it might cause some disruption in the short term. One of the employees asked why Gerald left, but all I said was that it was a personal matter. The following weeks passed in a blur. Rhonda was served with the divorce papers at her workplace on Thursday, which caused a lot of rumors. Her mother told me that she had gone to the doctor on Tuesday, but it would take a while to get the test results back. Fortunately, Rhonda didn't bombard me with calls or text messages. It seemed she finally realized she had made a mistake, one that would affect her for the rest of her life. Realizing there would be no reconciliation, she signed the papers. Jim said the divorce would be finalized in 90 days. Judy filed for divorce against Gerald for adultery. She told me he was living in a weekly rental motel until he could get something better. But he had another problem. Following Rhonda's visit, Dr. Barnes reported Gerald to the authorities. From what I learned, in the state where we live, those infected with HIV are required to inform their partners before any activity. Since Rhonda said Gerald never informed her, he could face up to 20 years in state prison. I also learned that this was one of those laws that many prosecutors didn't like to enforce due to the possibility of retaliation. But local authorities decided to go after Gerald based on Rhonda's testimony. A week after being kicked out of his house, the police showed up at the motel where he was staying and arrested him. Concerned about the risk he posed to the general population, they put him in solitary confinement. Gerald's trial turned into a real circus. The prosecutor painted him as a cruel manipulator who deliberately tried to infect me with the disease by infecting Rhonda first. Rhonda testified, and so did I. Judy also lent her testimony. The prosecutor even played the audio I recorded in my office, putting Gerald in even worse a position. It didn't take long for the jury to convict him. Disgusted by what they heard, the judge sentenced him to the maximum penalty allowed by the law, 20 years in state prison. But Gerald's problems were far from over. He was now in the middle of a divorce, in addition to facing a civil lawsuit. After Judy's divorce was finalized, she sold her house and moved out of the area. Rhonda reached out to me a few days before our divorce was finalized and asked me to have dinner with her. After thinking about it, I agreed. I felt it was time to close the chapter. We met at a quiet restaurant where we enjoyed one last meal. "I hope you're not ashamed to be seen with me," she said. "We won't be exchanging any bodily fluids, so it shouldn't be a problem," I replied, half jokingly. "I got my test results back. I'm positive." "I'm not surprised, but I'm sorry to hear that," I told her. "It's not your fault. You tried to warn me, but I wouldn't listen. It's a mistake I'll pay for the rest of my life." "And what is the doctor doing?" I asked. "He put me on an antiretroviral therapy. It will never be cured, but he told me I can live a relatively normal life if I take the medication every day. Of course, I had to inform my boss. He allowed me to work from home, and my mom said I can stay with her as long as I need to." "I'm happy to hear that," I replied. "My lawyer is also filing a lawsuit against Gerald. I'm told it's pretty much a guaranteed victory with his conviction, but collection might be a problem since he's in prison." "I understand," I told her. "Well, his retirement was considerable, even after Judy's portion was discounted. She also sold her house, so maybe you can get his share." "Have you been talking to her lately?" "I have. She moved, but we still talk occasionally. I'll mention it to her and see what she says." "What happened to you, Rhonda? I don't understand. I wanted to have children with you, spend the rest of my life by your side." "I don't know," she said softly. "When Gerald showed me those photos of you with Judy, I lost it. I was sure you were having an affair with her. I really leapt without thinking, not just a little." "But why didn't you talk to me?" I asked. "I was angry. I didn't want to hear anything you had to say. Judy also tried to warn me, but I thought she was plotting with you, would say anything to stop me. I even told you that Friday about Gerald. Twice. I hoped you would take the hint." "Honestly, I didn't want to hear anything you had to say," she told me. "And now I'm paying the price. I'll pay for this for the rest of my life. Can you forgive me for being so stupid?" "I don't know. Right now, it's all I can do to be civil around you." "I appreciate that at least," she said. "I know it's probably not easy for you. How are you doing?" "I manage. I keep pretty busy with work now that Gerald is gone. My workload doubled, so there's no shortage of things to do." "Any woman in your life?" she asked. "No, I'm not interested in a relationship right now. Probably won't be for a long time. Once bitten, twice shy, you know?" "I'm sorry," she said. "I learned a thing or two from all this." "What?" she asked. "Never trust anyone," I replied. She looked at me, shocked. "I knew Gerald for years before I met you. I thought I knew him. I had no idea he was capable of what he did, and the things I found out about him during the divorce made me sick, and what you did certainly didn't help." "I'm sorry," she said. "Well, it is what it is," I said. "I see you're still wearing your wedding rings," I added, looking at her left hand. "We're technically married, at least for a few more days. If you want them back, you can have them, but I was hoping you'd let me keep them." "I don't want them. I just sell them anyway." "Why do you want them?" "As a reminder," she said, "of what I had and threw away. They're yours. Do whatever you want with them." "Thank you," she said quietly, a tear rolling down her face. "I better go now. I still have a lot to do tonight."
Say hello to your mom for me, and good luck. "I will," she replied. "And thank you, Ron. I really am sorry for all of this." "Yes, me too, Rhonda. Goodbye." I heard her crying as she walked away. I wasn't as angry as when all this started, but I still felt sad. It's not easy to end a decade-long relationship with someone you thought you would spend the rest of your life with. Work proceeded normally, and within a year, things had stabilized. I had several opportunities, but chose not to date or pursue a relationship. I still had serious trust issues after what Rhonda and Gerald did. My life consisted of working, eating, and sleeping. I had no social life at all. A year and a half after the divorce, Denise, my secretary, introduced me to her younger sister, Angela, at a company event. She was a few years younger than me and had just gone through a divorce herself. Her husband had left her for another woman. We started dating, taking one step at a time. Both of us had been hurt by our exes and still had trust issues. But as we spent more time together, our trust in each other grew. We went out several times over the course of a month until we spent the night together, in my bed. A few months later, I proposed, and she said yes. Our wedding is scheduled for the spring, followed by a 5-day cruise to the Caribbean. We invited Rhonda's mother, but we don't know if she plans to attend. I still feel the pain of what Rhonda and Gerald did, but Angela has done an excellent job of healing my scars. I've done my best to help her heal too, and I'm genuinely looking forward to spending the rest of my life with her. Thinking about Angela, I often remember a saying that sometimes the bad things that happen in our lives put us directly on the path to the best things that ever happened to us. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. And what did you think of this story? Share your opinion in the comments.